Well, good morning. It is 10 o'clock, and we are going to call this annual meeting to order. We'd like to thank everyone for coming this morning and giving us an opportunity to kind of talk about what has happened in the park over the last 12 months. Glad to have a lot of Sandy Pines staff here, and Jean, and the board members. With that, we'll turn it over to Raj Grinwest to recognize the retiring board members.
Good morning. We have three people who have served for, two people served for 3 years, and Tim served for 2 years to take a term that's when somebody left the park. And these three people have done a fantastic job. We've been put in some precarious positions, but we've all worked on it, worked out good. And these three people have served very well, and I know that I know they just want to stay on. They don't want to leave. But anyway, it's just to work with these people. It was really a pleasure. We had a lot of fun. We did some laughing. We did some scratching across the table, because when you got 9 people, not everybody agrees, and some people will go one way, some people another. But we work as a group, and we work what's best. It isn't us, it's the park, and what's the best for the people here, and that's how we operated. And we came through, the whole board did, but with these three people leaving, it's kind of sad to see them go, because we got to know them kind of good, and we became kind of friends and the whole 9 yards. So I just want to say thank you to these people, and the best of luck to you. And if you've got some time and have nothing to do and want to try it again in a year, I think it would be welcome. Thanks again.
Any comments from the retiring directors?
Wow, I wasn't expecting this, but it was an eye-opener for me and a learning experience. And I just want to thank the people that supported me these last 3 years. And I especially want to thank Jean, our president, and Kimberly, our CFO, who isn't here. Kimberly, I'm sorry. Fantastic support for them, fantastic brains that they have. I wish I had the brains that they have. But also the staff and the board members. Like Raj said, you get to know these people, and you get to love these people, because they love Sandy Pines as much as we all do. I love Sandy Pines. We've got a great, unique campground here. And I wish our new board members, 2 that are here, and the 5 new ones that will be taking the places, I wish them all the wisdom and knowledge to keep this park the great park it is. And I thank you for letting me serve you. Thank you.
And just speaking for myself, I just want to say it was definitely a privilege to serve this park over the last couple of years, and to get to know the board members as well as I have over those couple of years, and also a privilege to get to work with the Sandy Pines staff and get to know them and the amazing job that they do. And just encourage you guys to continue to encourage the board and continue to volunteer in the park. It's a very important thing for this park. So next up, we will have Jean Vancouvering give the park president report. Then after that, we'll have an opportunity for member comments to the board, and we'll have an opportunity for the board to make comments in response. And I am not forgetting Greta, and we will give Greta a chance to give her retiring comments as well.
Actually, after Tim and Carolyn, there's not a whole lot more that I can say, other than again, it's been a privilege to serve you, and, thank you for supporting me also. And I certainly hope that I did my best for the members and, thinking about the park, always thinking about the park to keep this place. And working with all the staff has been a pleasure. And anything that we ever needed, they were right there. And that's a big thing. If you can have your board and your staff work together for the good of the park is very important, and have the members backing us. So yeah, it has been a privilege to serve, and maybe down the road somewhere I'll go at it again, but for right now I just can't. So I want to thank all of you again for your support, and God bless our park. Thank you.
I'm on? All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming. It's great to see you all here. It's a privilege to be here again and to give you an update of what's been happening in the park in the last 12 months. And traditionally, this part of the program can be long and boring, so get ready. But I don't have as many pages, but then again, I may have used smaller font. So we'll give it a try and get through it as quickly as I can and as effectively as we can. So before I begin, though, let me thank the Chapel Committee again for allowing us to use this facility today on behalf of the membership, the board, and the administration and staff. Thank you, Chapel staff. Also want to thank George Bauma back there on the sound system, and Austin Vanderwig from the Recreation Department on the video for recording of this. And that will be posted on the Sandy Pines YouTube channel, as well as being linked on our Facebook page and our website. As we move along through these years, the ability to communicate has improved. It isn't perfect, but we continue to add communications that are bent toward making what's going on in the park more available to each member. Much of what's been accomplished in the last 12 months could not have been done with volunteers from the membership, as well as many of our faithful, knowledgeable, and talented managers and staff persons. So I'd like to take this time to introduce some of our staff to you today and give you an opportunity to thank them for providing us with their gifts and talents and time to bring positive results to the operations of the park. These are the people with boots on the ground. These are the people that make things happen. These are the people that are effectively running their departments, and these are the people who generate revenue and results in cash reserves. So I want you to give these folks a big hand when I call them off. As I see you in front here, all the staff up front here that we have here? Okay. If you're not, stand up. First, as I call your name, please stand. Josh Genoviak, please. Josh is our member services manager, as well as he's the manager of marketing and communications. Josh has been here about a year and a half, so yep. And a lot of the things you see, pretty much all the things you see in improved communications comes from his experience and his gifts to us, so thank you. Gary Peters is from the golf course, and he's going to be introduced again or answer questions later when we do the golf course, but thank you, Gary. You've done a great job at the golf course, and we thank you for it. Mary Applehoff and Nikki Nahogawin, please stand. Mary has been our recreation director for a while, and Nikki is taking her place next year. So right now they're working hand in hand, and Mary is passing off all her wisdom to Nikki. Steve DeArmond is our safety director, and we thank Steve for what he's doing in security and safety. He's been here a little over 30 years, and he knows this park as well as anybody. So thank you, Steve, for what you're doing. Ralph Smith is our interim inspector, He took the empty spot, the vacancy that was left from when that came open a while back, and he's here. He's moving to Florida, so we're losing him again. But the person that we just hired, his name is Ernie Kunkel. He's a member out of Phase 5. I'm not going to tell you where he lives because I don't want him to be bugged. But no, I don't remember where he was, but I wouldn't tell you anyway. But Ernie will be starting on Monday, and we look forward to him taking that spot, and I believe that he'll do a great job at that. But I want to thank Ralph especially for stepping in whenever and wherever he was needed. Thank you. Ben Pafelski. Ben has been in the maintenance manager position for a few years, and he's been a real asset to this park. And there's nobody that knows more about what's going on with the property above the ground and below the ground than this guy. So, thank you. Kathy Molnar is our sales manager. She has been with us, 8 years, I think, Kathy? Been here longer than I have. And she has been working very hard this year. Every year she does, but this year especially, they've had a number of transfers and closings, and she's looking for more inventory. Not that we're asking people to leave, but she's running low on inventory. But the demand is great, so thank you, Kathy, for promoting the park. Dale Yoder and Jack Smith from Park and Garden and the golf cart, or the rental department. Dale is new to this position because the rental department is new, but Dale's not new to Sandy Pines. You've seen him in a number of different areas, and Jack's been with Park and Garden as long as I've been here, so that's at least 5 years. But you guys are doing a great job in Park and Garden. It sounds like in next year you're going to do some expanding, or try to do some expanding in the rental department again, and we're encouraging you to continue to go. Thank you. And it looks like last but not least, we have Kimberly Williams, who's our CFO. It's been a pleasure to work with her over this last year and a half, and she ran right from the frying pan into the fire. She came on right when we were putting in new software and database management and point of sale system stuff, and at the same time managing the accounting of the park, and she has put in untold hours beyond expectation. So we want to really thank her as well for all she's done. We also have one person that couldn't be here. She's back at the member services desk, Sue Flowers. She is the assistant manager under Josh, and if you get a chance, if you have not met her, please make an attempt to do so. She's very knowledgeable, and she's done a great job so far. And then I would also like to thank all of you that volunteer your time here at Sandy Pines, whether you're on a committee or if you're a volunteer in one of our departments. You're treasured and appreciated, and your volunteerism is priceless. It's also vital to the success of ongoing operations here in the park. I can't begin to tell you how much real dollar value you bring to the park in terms of the money that we do not have to spend outside the park, and your help is truly appreciated. Thank you. Give yourself a hand. Since ending this meeting on August 20, 2016, much has happened and much has been accomplished and much remains to be done. I hope my report to the membership today will provide the hearers of this report with a good review of 3 different areas in the next few minutes. In the last 12 months, we've been blessed to have another safe year without major injuries to the membership, guests, or staff. As you may recall, on the election day, August 20, 2016, for the second time in as many weeks, there were tornadoes in the area. At about 1:35 on the afternoon of the election, the polls were closed due to a tornado warning that had been issued. and was later determined that the tornado took a path just west and north of Sandy Pines with little or no damage to persons or property within the park. The reality of coming face to face with a potentially catastrophic event led to one of the steps that were taken after that time and in the last 12 months to help future communications to the membership. The result of careful considerations was that we implemented an emergency alert system, using the Rave alert system as a software that allows us to send out text or email messages to the membership. For emergency situations, this will greatly increase our ability to better communicate warning systems to the members and allow them more time to take cover. This alert system will also be used for a number of other member communications going forward, including communications that may not be considered emergencies. These notifications will include pool closings, recreational and park event cancellations or changes, past due member account notices, and site violation notifications, just to name a few. Pretty much every department will be able to use something in this alert system. At this point, each membership may have up to 2 members available to receive notices or alerts. Please check your account and confirm that your phone numbers and email addresses are correct by going to the account maintenance tab on our website. Additionally, with respect to emergency weather conditions, Sandy Pines, along with Salem and Monterey Township, were the recipients of an $857,000 grant to, in part, be used to purchase a new siren in Phase 6. The new siren will be servicing Phase 2, 3, and 6 with weather warning alerts. Understand that the weather sirens are meant for warning those outside of their trailers or buildings. The Rave alert system will provide alerts directly to the member where there is cell coverage to receive texts and emails. So whether you're inside or outside, you should get an alert. The siren for phase, the siren that's just put in is over here by the marina, if you want to take a look at it. Additionally, the grant will pay for 75% of the hardening costs in the construction of the 2 new safe room CCs in Phase 3, CC 5 and 6. These new facilities will be built to FEMA standards and capable of withstanding up to 250 mile-an-hour winds while holding approximately 450 persons. The CC projects are estimated to cost approximately $2.1 million. The funding for the project over and above the grant funding has been provided by operational reserves, or our savings account, that the board has approved to move over from operations to capital in the amount of $1.1 million. The result of the grant funding and the fund transfer has effectively saved the membership a special assessment of $100 a year for 10 years. When these 2 projects are completed, they will completely be paid for. Although the CC projects represent a 180-degree difference in the way projects have been funded in the past, because of the ballot failure in 2016, we currently face the challenge of going back to the continual multi-year assessments in the future. And I'm grateful and hopeful that today many members will go to the polls and take the opportunity to put a funding solution in place that will provide the park with opportunities for funding capital projects as we're able to do with the CCs and the sirens. Our physical assets, also known as capital assets, will continue to age, and the only logical and responsible way to repair or replace them will be to be financially prepared, while continuing to look for outside funding opportunities such as grant when and where they become available. Our request is to you to make the park financially prepared. Your part will be to go and vote today if you have not already voted. The part of your administrative team will be to plan responsibly with careful consideration to priorities that will be presented annually to the Finance Committee and then to the Board of Directors for budget approvals each year for the next 10 years if the capital funding ballot passes. The responsibility of the board will be to review the priorities and provide support to the administrative team for the implementation of the plan and funding opportunities that will best serve the park. I'm pleased to report that the administration and board has reached their goal of acquiring 180 days cash reserve. Not only is the park now capable of being in a better position for unexpected cost emergencies, this level of available funding is after or subsequent to the board transferring $1.1 million to capital for the park portion of funding for the construction of the 2 CCs that were mentioned earlier. What does that mean to have a 180-day cash reserve? I'd ask you to recall the economic downturn that occurred in 2008 as an example. Additionally, consider the level of individual borrowing or leveraging by way of bank loans on personal property relating to assets such as trailers, boats, porches, landscaping, etc. A moderate to high amount of bank loans to fund such items during a potential downturn like that of 2008 could result in a moderate to severe revenue interruption for Sandy Pines. It's unknown if or when we may in fact ever experience an unforeseen financial crisis, but if it happens, thanks to the conservative business practices and solid board oversight, Sandy Pines is now in a better prepared to face any event from a position of financial strength rather than financial weakness. It's my understanding that all effort will be made by the board and by the administration to keep these funds in a lockbox type of hold, while continuing our efforts to create new operational reserves or cash at the end of the year that could also be used for capital funding as the board deems appropriate and necessary. That being said, there could be emergencies beyond our control or that would require a request to the board for some of these funds. But the point is, and the hope is, that we can leave that in place. I think when we got here, there was about a 65, 70 day cash reserve. So we're really proud of these folks in the front row who've helped, and these folks at the table here who have overseen all of this, and we're grateful to be in the position we're in. At the September 2016 board meeting, there was a request from the board for me to review the Safety and Security Department with the express purpose of bringing them a plan for restructuring the department to better prepare the department for the future. Subsequent to a third-party review during the off-season, in June of this year, we presented the board with a plan that basically separates or silos the department into 2 separate entities with separation of duties. At the June board meeting, the board approved the roadmap restructure plan and the security emergency operations plan that was presented. As a part of the plan to be implemented, Steve DeArmond will be moving to a new position in October to take over as the position of Emergency Services Director. Steve will have operational and oversight authority of all emergency services regarding medical, safety, fire, and property liability needs and services. He will be providing training and review of emergency operation plans and policies for natural disaster events. Additionally, he will have oversight of ongoing evaluation and maintenance of our entrance technology assets, as well as any required revisions of updates of software or other technologies needed and or used for the safety of the park, its members, and its guests. Steve will also be managing the emergency alert system we spoke about a little earlier and maintaining proper policies and protocols for its use. As you may know, Steve was largely responsible for the successful writing of the FEMA grant, and we intend to include continued grant writing efforts from Steve as grant opportunities will be part of his job description, with the expectation he will seek out other grant opportunities as they become available. A new job description has been developed and will be made available at the September board meeting. The other division would be the security services position. Mel Brummel, a 32-year veteran of law enforcement with the City of Allegan and current acting police chief of the City of Finnville, will be taking on the position of Security Services Director here at Sandy Pines. We are very excited to have such a skilled and seasoned professional come and take on this challenging position. Mel will be managing all human resources within the security department. He will be responsible for consistent communications with the membership with particular attention to community involvement. He will focus on building and maintaining a positive departmental image to Sandy Pines community and our guests through his availability and professional interaction by example, while demanding the same expectations from his staff. Mel's been a longtime Allegan City law enforcement employee with experience in leadership positions and training. He will be responsible for day-to-day security operations, operational organization, department protocol, development, and oversight, as well as all personnel management and training. Both Steve and Mel come with unique networking connections and skill sets in their respective areas of expertise. They will both continue to use their networking skills they have accrued in the law enforcement and emergency services communities, respectively. Their areas of influence and familiarity with persons that are in position to assist Sandy Pines will be maintained. Whether they're at a local, county, state, or federal level, such contacts will continue to be actively cohesive and cooperative relationships to be maintained. Both Steve and Mel will remain in contact with officials in each of their areas of expertise by maintaining an open dialogue, thereby strengthening our relationship with each level in such a way as to benefit Sandy Pines. A new job description has been developed and will be made available at the September board meeting, at which time Mel will also be introduced to the membership. October 1, 2017 is the date that both men will begin to work at their new positions. It's been a challenging year and filled by almost a frenzy of militant-like misleading comments, including extremely inaccurate character assassinations being made. Certainly has been a year filled with false narratives, innuendos, accusations from a few vocal members that find it necessary to make their opinions known without understanding. I simply want to say that if I have played any part in inciting or adding fuel to the fires of unrest, it has been unintended, and I apologize. I invite you to get off your keyboard and come to face-to-face meetings and contact me personally to discuss your disagreements in a civil manner. We may both learn something if given a chance to discuss issues. With that said, in an effort to end on a positive note, let me finish by thanking the many members and board members and associate members that have stopped in, called in, emailed, texted us, wrote notes, and or brought food and snacks, especially the food and snacks, as expressions of your encouragement. And certainly your prayers have been coveted and they have been heard. We can feel them. Your expressions of kindness, encouragement, and appreciation have provided us all with an emotional lift exactly when it was needed. Please continue to show such kindness to each staff person, each board member, each volunteer you meet going forward as you have been led to do so in the recent past. God has a way to use every person for a specific purpose. And as I close this report, I want to confirm that if you are one of those encouragers that I just mentioned, He has definitely used you in a mighty way. If you're not in this group of encouragers, you have also need to know that God's using you as well. And as difficult as some circumstances have been for our staff, the administration, and the board, we want to thank you. We want you to know that we are grateful for you as well. Where civility and disagreement have coexisted, we honor your opinions because the common bond of love for the place we call Sandy Pines that we share. As a staff, we are grateful for the opportunity to serve Him and all of you in this great place. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene, for that report. And on behalf of the board, we just really want to give another round of appreciation to the staff and to our park president for everything that they do. And now we have the opportunity for member input. So we do have a microphone set up right here in the middle. This is being recorded, and we would ask people to step up to the microphone. We're going to follow the same system that we've been using at board meetings for the last couple of months. So every member will have 2 minutes to give your input. We have a lot of staff here. We have our park president here. We have the board here. And we really want to reinforce that we want to hear from the membership. The board will have the opportunity to have comments at the end, so if there are questions that come up that need answered, we definitely will have the opportunity to answer those. But at this moment, we really want to hear your input. So if anyone would like to step up to the microphone, it is available.
Hello. I just want to say thank you for all y'all do. I'm one of the members that's not real vocal. I'm only here on the weekends, so I don't often make it to some of the meetings and things like that, but I've really enjoyed watching the YouTubes of the face-to-face. That's been something that I can access on my own time, and I appreciate that. I feel like sometimes the negative voices get heard a lot because just us regular people don't talk as much or as loudly. So I do want you to know that you have the support of many people here for all the hard work that you've done.
And if we can please give our name and our site number at the beginning as well. I forgot to mention that.
I'm Terry Hardenberg, N289. I just have a question. I've heard a rumor. Are you moving the library?
We are just taking feedback at this point, but we will have the opportunity to respond to some of those. So I'll make a note on the library.
Because last night you said there was going to be alterations to the retail center, and that ties into the rumor that I heard that you're going to be moving the library over there and opening up more offices. And my question is we're in the financial straits that we're in, why are we doing this? That's my question. Thank you.
Bill Vanderwall, D165. The question I have is, the 2 CCs that are going to be torn down and replaced in Phase 3, what are their current approximate square footage of each? And secondly, of the 2 new CCs that will be built, how much larger are they? And thirdly, because we got a FEMA grant, there's always controls to the money that you receive. Are the 2 CCs that are going to be built, are they going to be available to people that are outside the park that are not members?
Thank you very much. I have noted those questions.
Bonnie Van Kampen, D118. First of all, I want to thank the board and the park director for all the time and hours you people put into making this a wonderful, wonderful facility. Everywhere I go, Sandy Pines is talked about. People I meet, oh, you're there? What's it like there? It just goes on, and from here to Florida. And I have seen, we've done some traveling, I've not seen another place like this yet. Maybe they're out there, but I haven't seen one. And when I hear that someone from this wonderful park came to a church service, which should be sacred, and intimidated a board member, that she would quit on the spot out of fear, that scares the daylights out of me. Something is wrong. We see it in our country, and I certainly don't want to see Sandy Pines headed down that road. We need board members who are willing to listen and compromise. There should never be somebody that says, as long as I'm in there, we will never. I'm sorry, times change. I've changed my opinions many times over the years due to new circumstances. And I think each and every one of us here has done that. These board directors are not paid. They volunteer their time. And I think we should respect the people that we vote in and trust them to do the right job. And if you have a question, I would encourage you to please come and talk to them and not get on a Facebook page and make comments that are half-truths. That's what our news media does, and we know where that's gotten us. So thanks again. Please keep up the good work.
Any other comments from the membership?
Bob Stiles, N424. I would like to show my appreciation to the board, Gene, and all the work you do. My wife and I have been members here of Sandy Pines for over 40 years. Wow. We have seen, right. Actually, this summer makes 42, all right? And we've seen the ups and downs of Sandy Pines. We've seen everything from oiled roads to the paved things. I know because I had to collect money for oiling. That was not fun. But anyway, main thing, keep the good work, board. We appreciate it so much. And Sandy Pines, in fact, since we've been here, 2 of our daughters' families have also, some of you already know that, also have their families here. One from Florida. Stayed about 2.5 months. Anyway, that's enough said. Keep up the good work. We appreciate you. God bless you.
We don't want to cut anyone off, but we don't want to keep anyone here too long either. Any other comments? All right, well, we will close the section of public input. And we have the opportunity for some closing comments. Jean, would you want to speak to kind of what some of the thoughts on the retail center renovations are?
Sure. What's happening or what we're looking at over in the admin and retail building are meant to be in part and parcel to an overall change of the use of the square footage in there. We believe that we can much better get a larger return on investment per dollar, or dollars per square foot by some of the changes we're proposing, and at the same time free up some area in the admin building that is desperately needed, at least in part at this point. So let me try and walk you through where we're going. The current conference room would become the office of the CFO. The current office of the CFO would become an office for 2 people, two part-time people. One would be Josh's. He does marketing and communications about 20 hours a week, so he would use it part of the time, and we're considering a part-time HR person to take some of the load off of that department in the county. So the conference room would move, for the time being, would move into the current library. The library would be moved over to the retail building. Part of it would be near where the Just My Style hair salon is, and then there are a couple of storage units behind there, and a little bit more space out of the inside storage. That would allow us to move the library over there, put a restroom in there, and then an office for the inspector. The office for the inspector is currently in the Rangers, or the security building. That space will be required for the new position that's going into security and safety, emergency services. So we'll move the inspector over toward the retail building. Eventually, we would like to move the park and garden into the retail building, along with the rental department into that building. So everything that is retail oriented, with the exception of the library, would be in there. And then the library would also be able to, because it'll be separated in such a way that we can make that library available 24/7 year round. So at this point, that would have you'd have to have card access to get in. Then the existing building, park and garden, would become storage for some of our equipment that sits outside now, that would, for maintenance. And then there's a potential of putting about 10 doors of storage on the east side of that building that we could, again, lease out. And then the material bins that are there, where the landscape items are, we're hoping to move that on the extreme south end outside the fence of the bullpen. So that's out of the way, and will allow us more parking for flea markets and things like that. So that's kind of an overview, and it depends on funding. I mean, there's a couple things we need to do that we believe we have the funds to start it. It'll probably be a couple-year project, but if the funds become available, we would like to get this floor plan done and begin doing more retail in that building and in that area. And then beyond that, and if funds become available, we would like to dress up or update the outside of that building somewhat. The building is in good shape, so we don't have any intentions at this point to do anything structurally that we would suspect that would need to be replacing the building. So that's kind of where we're at on that, Terry. You want me to take the other one too, Bill?
Yeah, but let me ask the question first, because I think what we keep hearing is that there's concerns of strings that are tied to the FEMA grant. So do we have long-term, 10, 20, 50 year down the road strings that we have to worry about from receiving the FEMA grant?
Steve, you want to talk to that?
Yeah, somewhat. FEMA does require us to have a maintenance plan. FEMA does require us to have a maintenance plan in effect, and we've already developed that and submitted that to them. Strings attached, people are concerned about, is it going to be open to the public? I think we all understand that if somebody come to your door and there was a storm and tornado and they were looking for shelter, would you let them in to shelter? That would probably be a very rare circumstance where somebody from the outside would show up at the gate and say, you know, there's a tornado coming, can I seek shelter? If it was your home, if it was your house, would you let somebody seek shelter there? The answer would probably be yes, but is that going to happen? I've been here 30 years. People don't knock on our door and say, can we come in? They're going to take shelter in most cases, I would say, in their own facilities. So are we opening this up to the public? No. But just as you and I, a human being, if somebody knocked on your door and needed help, you would probably help them. Like I say, 30 years I've been here and never seen that. Regardless if there was a FEMA grant or not involved, just like yourself personally, would you help a person? I would say we would probably help a person. Did I answer the question?
Thank you. As far as the size, Thanks, Chief. Thank you. As far as the size is concerned, Ben would probably know better. I think the new ones are about the size, they're close to the size of 13. Yeah, that CC 13 would be a comparable size, and the ones that are there now, the new one's going to sit at on the same spot, so they're going to be pretty much the same size overall. So with that, I believe I want to go back just for a second to the FEMA grant. The calculations that Steve had to put in were for the total number of people. It was a percentage of the total number of people expected to be in phase 3 at any one given time, in phase 3. And then from that, there was a calculation made of how many people could be there on an average day on a weekend and during the week. And then those numbers were fed into, they were extrapolated into how many square feet the building would need to be, clear space, and how many people it would have to hold. So the size of the building was driven by the population within phase 3. And the FEMA requirements, as far as I remember, Steve, was a 5-minute walk to the building. So if we do anything in phase 4 like this, it would be the same criteria. So the square footage is driven, the size of it is driven by what the population is in that area. So I hope that these answer the questions.
And then the question came up, where is CC 13? Just to confirm where the two CCs are.
I'm sorry, CC 13?
Somebody in the audience asked, because you said the size would be comparable to
Oh,
CC 13.
phase 6, sorry, yeah. Phase 6 CC.
Okay.
That's the newest CC the park has. I think that was built in 1998-ish, somewhere in there. So it's about that size. It'll have the one building will have, I think what's one by the pool? Is that CC 5, Ben? That'll have a laundry, 6, that'll have a laundromat in it. That's a little bigger than the one they have now. They have a unit in there with 3 machines. There will be 5 or 6 machines in that one. Again, similar to what the phase 6 CC has. And then the other one will have that space where the laundromat could be, but that will be a storm shelter space, and that'll be a locked room until the weather siren activates it, or Allegan Emergency Services activates the sirens. Then those doors would automatically open and become available for people to go in that room.
And then since we're on this topic, and this is our last item on this agenda, but the conversations come up on the CC, so it might be worth addressing why the need was there to replace the CCs, and explaining the fact that the decision was made to replace the CCs before FEMA got involved, and talking about how FEMA actually helped save money on the project instead of spending extra money, and why we ended up making the decision to replace them both at the same time.
I can only tell you what happened since I've been here. And since I've been here, Lon, one of the first things that we did was a review of the park operations and facilities. And at the time, Lon wanted to replace these 2 CCs prior to my coming here. He pointed out a number of things in those CCs that made his reasoning pretty solid. What we've done since then is, and Ben has been involved with it the last few years, is to do the best we can with what we have over there. But they are 2 of the oldest CCs we have, and they are deteriorating quickly. That being said, the original proposal, when Don was still here, I think Lon was still here the first time. We were gonna do one at a time. And at that time, I think it was Dan Kendall, who was our treasurer, made a suggestion to the board that we do them both at the same time to eliminate the need for mobilization costs in 2 different years, to have the same crew, a lot of the same materials. It'd be a more efficient way of doing it. So that's where that came from, was to do both at once. And then the next step was FEMA came along, or when an opportunity came along to write a grant. The grant had the construction, the type of construction and the materials used were, the criteria was much higher than what we would use in a conventional construction. So when we got done with that, we had the pricing between that and conventional construction. And our conventional construction would have cost Sandy Pines on one building 15% and on the other one 17% less. So for the little bit more that we're spending, we also had a pickup of $836,000. So overall, we're spending much less to get much more.
Thank you. Yeah, what is the time frame for construction at this moment?
After they're going to be shut down after Labor Day, and then the 10th, September 10th, and then we're going to take out salvage some things out of them that Ben wants to keep, and then they'll be taken down between the 18th and the 24th of September, and then construction will begin immediately thereafter. And the requirement is for completion, for occupancy by April 15, and then completion by May 15. So we want to be able to use them on April 15 when folks come back.
Gene, I've got a question that regarding any of the CCs. These new CCs we're going to build, a lot of the toilet stalls, I hate to bring this up, but some of them you got to be a contortionist to get in and out of them. They're a wee bit tight. And so are these new ones going to be a little bit bigger so we don't have to grease ourselves to get in and out the door?
I'm not going to speak for everybody. But yes, the standards have changed since, like the one in the core area. You know, that's pretty tight, I admit. And your knees are up against the wall when you're, okay. So, yeah, it will be better. And I think that some of the other CCs we have, even though they're old and they wouldn't be compliant in today's standards, are really very solid yet. And so if the opportunity ever comes up to consider replacing any of those, I don't think we'll have the same reasoning at this point for those. So, and again, that goes back to the maintenance department for the great job they do in keeping those things up. Anything else?
Any other comments from any of the board members? Well, we will go ahead and move to close this meeting. I would just encourage everyone, I think getting the word around the park, the face-to-face meetings, the board meeting, the annual meeting, we hear words like transparency a lot, like Gene talked earlier on. We've been videotaping and putting on YouTube all of these meetings as well. On committees, there's lots of opportunities to ask the questions and to get the answers that the members care about. I think that this board and this administration has a real goal to help facilitate that transparency in the park. So just encourage everyone to take advantage of it. And with that, we will go ahead and officially call the meeting of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails to a close, and then we will immediately move into our meeting for Lake Monterey Golf Course. For Lake Monterey Golf Course, and would like to welcome all of the remaining people in here. And this meeting usually moves along pretty quickly. And we have our board here, we have Gary here, and we have Jean Vancouvering and Kimberly Williams. So we can go ahead and move directly into our park director's report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all again for being here. Just a few notes. This is not a long deal, so, but items of interest, I'm sure. The course revenue is up over at the golf course this year, about 6%, and it was as well last year. Gary's goal has been to increase by 5% a year for the next 5 years, and so far it's gone well. There's been a lot of course improvements. Tree removals on the back nine, we're seeing that, he's saying that we're seeing more people play the back, which is the short nine now. We switched nines, if you didn't know. We're getting more golfing from outside the park. There's a fine line there. We want to keep the park or the golf course available for members because you're paying an assessment to be there. But at the same time, we don't want you to pay as much of an assessment, so we want to get as much public play in as we can because that's where the profit is. And so we're trying to fill in those tee times that are available to the public and fill them with public play. And so we ask that you understand that a short-term wait might mean less of an assessment at the end of this first period. We're getting last Saturday they ran out of golf carts for 2 hours for the first time ever, so I think that's a great thing, Gary. We had a number of people out. It was a beautiful day. So some morning leagues are up by over 20 people, and I understand you just signed a new league for 16 for next year, so that's great. Both member play and public play are up. Beer sales are up this year too, and there's a small percentage of over budget, still a good sign. They had their first kids league with 16 kids. That's been a good start, and that program we hope will continue to grow. Gary, would you like to say anything?
The biggest thing is as the course gets busier and we have a lot more member play this year, it's great, is when people sign in, they have a tendency, as soon as you sign in, you usually tee up, even with the public players. When you come down as members, you see it might be backed up 2 or 3 foursomes. It might not be your tee time yet. People are getting there earlier. And the other problem we do have is people come down right at the last minute for their tee time. I encourage you all to get down 10 minutes early so we keep it going. Member plays, but the morning leagues are phenomenal. I mean, Monday mornings we're up to 30, 35 people. We used to run maybe 16. Larry's group, we started out with 8. On Tuesdays, we're up to about 30, 32. So everything's really going really well. We are enforcing a dress code. It's been on a new scorecard for the last 2 years. People are abiding by that. Switching the nines around has really made the flow of traffic a lot better for our front desk and just for pace of play. We do have a ranger. I've gotten less complaints this year. There still are issues. I still get sixums at times. But overall, things have been really smooth. We did a wines pairing this year, which has gone very well. We've had a few food trucks at karaoke. Next year, I'm going to scale back karaoke down to 3 versus 5. I can't compete with 5 Lakes, nor will I. But I think sometimes you do too many things in 1 year, like every 2 weeks. I think it might be overdone. But overall, the membership rounds are way up. Cart revenue is way up. One way I can help create revenue for the members, spring and fall when you're not here, I discount the golf course for two reasons. One, it's a lot of places do it. We have a small staff, so get the course in prime conditions the first month or so. That's where I can generate more revenue for you folks, but yet help keep your dues down. So that's one of my two goals, spring and fall, which I've done fairly well. The only problem is spring and fall with weather, you never know how it's going to go. But overall, it's been up, and I do appreciate the support. Thank you.
I would only add that Gary is not just a manager. He gets out and gets his hands dirty too. You'll see him out early in the morning working on the greens or working in the tee boxes. And we really appreciate all that you do, Gary. Thank you very much.
We said this one was easier. We do have an opportunity for member input. Same thing. We have the microphone right here in the middle. 2 minutes per member. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear your feedback. We want to hear your suggestions. Please just remember your name and your site number, and we can open up the microphone for comments.
Russ Colton, D166. First of all, I'd like to thank Gary for the fine job he's done. And I have one question. To alleviate some of the member complaints, maybe that they can't get tee times when they want to, is it possible, or do we have opportunity for members to make their tee times earlier than what they allow the general public? I know if you're a member at a local golf course, if you're a member, you usually can make tee times earlier than what general public can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Russ. This is actually the first time I've heard of that problem. Pretty much 70% of the weekend traffic is all members. It's 2 weeks out. I guess if this becomes a problem, I'll go over with the golf committee and we'll decide what we want to do. What days you having problems making tee times, Russ? What days? You know, members, if they have a group of 12 or more, can make them a month out. It's a good idea, but so far we're not that busy where I see it being a problem. But if it becomes a problem, we can readdress that issue.
Gail Larson, 1331. I just want to thank Gary and everyone involved in what you have done to the golf course. I've been a member for close to 30 years, and the course is phenomenal. It really is a joy. I'm only here weekends, but it's a joy to be out playing on our course now. I'm proud of it.
I'm Al Scott on C-15. One question in my mind. Some years back, which I've been in the park probably the last 30 years, we voted to buy the golf course and to make it a part of the park. Why is it so separated from the park and we don't get some benefit from our membership to play the course? The course is the only thing that's kept me here for 30 years. And I really hate to pay my dues and then have to pay to play golf. Thank you.
I'm a little confused as far as that the members don't get benefits. Outside play is they pay what, 3 times what we pay, maybe? 5 times what we pay? Yes, I hear what you're saying, that we don't pay to go swimming, we pay, but I still feel it's a very good benefit that we do have. It does cost to maintain the golf course, $3 for 9 holes. I still feel the members do get a benefit over I think it is a benefit to the members here. Thank you.
Other comments or questions from anyone in the audience? All right.
I'm Rosalie Walsh, K451, and I want to commend the committee for the golf course, and I'm really happy that the vote passed years ago that we keep it. My husband and I are golfers. When we bring our friends up here, we love going to the course, and the nominal fee that we pay, this $3, is to drop in a bucket. I mean, we know the costs that it takes to maintain such a beautiful course. And it's such an added benefit to everybody who lives here. I mean, even if you're not a golfer, this course adds to your property values. And all the amenities that we have here, whether it's the water park, the pools, the golf course, everything here costs money to maintain. And if we don't have that money coming in to maintain these wonderful benefits that we have, then this park will just be an ordinary park like many other parks. Right now, we have a park that we can be very, very proud of. And that golf course is one of the main amenities. And to pay a little bit, $3, to me is nothing. I mean, it's just nothing. I mean, you know, you spend more than $3 if you're a smoker on a pack of cigarettes. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just like, you know, these bills that you want passed. I mean, when you look at the bottom line, the little bit of money that you're asking for, we all waste more than that in a month on junk, or maybe in 2 months. So I am very proud to pay $3. So believe me, I appreciate the board and everything that you do. I used to be a board member on my club for 6 years, and 20 years actually. And on the my condo association, I know it's a hard job, and it goes without pay, and it goes a lot of times without gratitude. So I just want to thank all of you for the hard work that you do. Thank you.